A happy evening. I think, again, very, I think, again, today, I think when you go across and discuss with people, there's no topic that will not involve transformation, right? It could be digital, it could be human, it could be AI, right? So I think transformation is where it's at the intersection of each and every aspect that we are dealing today in corporates, right? So, and that's where I think today I think this topic is timely, where we have to really look at navigating board expectations, especially with respect to digital KPIs. So I think fundamentally today boards are obviously looking at a lot more outcomes when it comes to what do you mean by digital transformation, what kind of ROI or measured outcomes are you expecting, right? And that's where I think I'm sure CIOs, CISOs are facing very tough questions in terms of because a lot of investments are going into that space. So that's where I think they are trying to navigate between the challenges in terms of dealing with, while one is obviously they have to deal with challenges of transformation. At the same time, they have to explain it to the boards in a very simple, straightforward manner so that they understand, which obviously is in a task in itself. And I can see a lot of them smiling, so I understand a lot of challenges they might be facing. So I think it'll be an interesting conversation just to understand how some of these leaders are navigating this. So maybe let's dive right into this topic and maybe start with you, sir, in terms of obviously when you look at technology transformation, right? I think there's a lot of things that go into technology transformation. And so how do you ensure that the digital KPIs are sort of aligned with what the board expects from a strategic perspective and not just treat it as like IT metrics?
Good evening to you all, and thanks for the opportunity. See, with respect to board, I have a different perspective actually, because I represent a non-banking finance company with a lot of regulations, etc. In fact, I just came directly from an RBI audit. So 1 hour, a lot of questions, grilling, etc. I just directly came from there. See, coming to the board expectation in our case is implementing suitable applications. It is slightly in the secondary stage. We have to take care of one is like compliance. Especially regulated by RBI, SEBI, etc. And RBI often they release master direction. So though we have some systems in place, we have a good CRM, good lending system, good ERP, etc. The prima facie things what we have to take it up to board with the KPIs, relevant KPIs for adherence or related to the adherence of master direction regulated by our RBI. And related to that, if you come to the sub branches, it will be security aspect, how you are fulfilling it. And lot of areas like we have to conduct a lot of meetings to adhere the RBI requirement, how we conduct that, and how the things can be represented to board. And sometimes a lot of audits are happening and there will be a lot of observations. Then we have to give that representation to the board with clear timeline to complete the observations. So these are the different perspectives. My colleagues may have a different perspective, but coming to as far as handling board is there I think the KPIs, if you come into, there are specific targets, timelines, completion. The timelines are not met with, then will be questioned. Straightforward. Application side, lot of application to be done, etc. And all, that is not a great thing. Compliance, security, adherence, and how we have to face the audit observations. I think this will be the focus area for me because I represent NBFC.
Understood. And I think, I'm sure it will be specific to each of the industry sectors. I'm sure each of you will have different challenges, right? And obviously, I think banking side, NBFC side, too many regulations, and I'm sure RBI releases a master direction every other month. So keeping track of it, I'm sure it's a challenge in itself. So I think what I get from your observations is, just ensuring compliance is met, the timelines are met, and then obviously if you are ensuring the compliance is met within the timeline, then that itself is satisfactory to the board, right? That's I think that's a fair point from your perspective. So, Mr. Ravi, I think if I can come to you next. Now, from your perspective, what do you think are the top 2 or 3 KPIs which definitely resonate with the board?
Thank you for the opportunity. For the target audience, my name is Ravi Shankar. I represent a company called Kovai Medical Center and Hospital, again a public limited company. There is a lot of challenges when it comes to regulations running a hospital and maintaining a lot of sensitive fiduciary and data and things. So in that context, there is always challenges when it comes to defining your digital KPIs and also adhering to the new age technologies of AI. So what is the message that we wanted to pass to the board is what is the customer experience that we can improve by indulging in these kinds of new technologies and avenues. So, but as my co-colleague was talking about, there is a lot of challenges when it comes to implementing these new technologies because there is a lot of PII data that is also involved. So we need to get into all these legalities even before any such solution is being deployed. DPDP is still on table. It has not been published, but very soon we can expect that regulations also to be come in. So what level of compliance is also, and what level of maturity the AI model that we are using, all those comes into play. Now, as an IT leader, we are in a position to explain to the board that these are the pros and cons of implementing such a kind of a solution. So once we have that kind of a mindset and put that on the table, then probably the board will be able to get on top of it. We should also be in a position to say that what is the revenue impact that is going to be got out of these solutions, what is the cost optimization that can be done, and what is the operation level expertise that can be built on top of it. Srikanth was talking about reducing a lot of L1 kind of an activity. Those are all some mundane tasks. Obviously, AI is going to take away in the coming years. But what is the amount of, cleanliness that it is going to give back, all those has to be a challenge. So these are all some of the things that board is also asking. These days, all this compliance related or governance related is a point that board is having a separate line item in the meetings.
Understood. And I'm sure from your perspective, because you're managing a hospital, there's a lot more sensitive data, like you mentioned, PII, PHI, which again is very critical. I'm sure data privacy bill must be keeping you on hooks from the past, I would say 7 years. It's been in the making, so I'm sure you're continuously defining measures to how you can protect the data. So I think a couple of good points you mentioned is on revenue. What is the revenue outcome? What is the cost optimization that you can bring in with some of these initiatives? And I'm sure that resonates well with the board, right? Obviously, when you can show some of those metrics which are measurable, the board will definitely resonate with that. So, Mr. Sri Krishnan, if I can come to you next, from your viewpoint, right? Obviously, lot of the initiatives involve a lot of investments that you have to make in, right? And then that's where the expected outcomes is also obviously what is the ROI, right? Now, how do you handle situations where the board expectation is, no matter what you do, we expect a certain level of ROI. Whatever investment we make, maybe let's say you do a 10x investment, we expect maybe 11x sort of ROI, right? However, oftentimes a lot of these initiatives, especially the AI that we're dealing with today, will not really yield you those outcomes. It could go in, like in the previous panel, right? It could go in any direction because at the end of the day, it's a new technology, you're experimenting with it, right? So how do you handle those specific situations with the board?
Yeah, good evening. Thank you for having me here. I represent Precall. We are into automobile and we are also into other businesses. I also run Restrotech. So one of the things which you're talking about is how do you explain things to the board? In a recent time, I just heard somebody talk about this. It's like having a burger. you have multiple layers there, and there is something which is all putting together. You have a small toothpick which holds everything together. That's your human touch, where if your user goes and clicks something, you're finished. So whatever layers of security you have, it's not going to help. And explaining these things to the board actually are pretty difficult. When you're talking about AI, I think we've just scratched the surface. Most of the things which you're talking about are maybe kind of in a POC, or we're just seeing some value there. We don't know if you're actually going to get anything out of it, or if you can scale up. It's obviously, when you talk about a board, they're in the business for the business. It's about making money. So it's a calculated risk, I would say. And explaining to them, it's like an R&D cost. So explaining to them and having short or small wins is very important. All the POCs, or most of us spoke about, are, I would say, small wins where we are able to showcase that, yes, see, we are able to replace one person, or we are able to replace 3 people's job, or get more productivity out of certain set of people. Now, one of the examples I have in one of our businesses, we run travel also, is like, we saw that most of the times our usual thing is that we search, and we don't travel. We say, okay, fine, I want to go to Bombay today, and then we see the price is too high, or the flight is not very comfortable. So we say, okay, fine, I'll go later. But we make revenue only when you book. So what do I do? Unless you book, I'm not going to make a revenue, and I have to serve you. I'll have to, meaning my server is there, my people are there who are going to look at all this and then come back to you. Put AI there. So AI is going to reply to you with all these answers. You're not going to search. You send me an email, AI is going to reply to you. Where I save about 60% of the time, which means I have the same set of people where I can do 60% more business. Very small win. But here we were able to bring in more involvement from my team and a buy-in from my team, where the board or the leaders were able to see that the team is more motivated to implement these solutions rather than convincing the board itself. I think these small wins are very important.
I think very good example you shared, right? I think very relevant, and I think that's where you are, maybe showing these small wins. Obviously, the big picture is at the end of all of it, maybe you'll get something bigger. But I think over a period of time, if you can show these small wins, I think that definitely resonates well with the board. So, sir, Mr. Ravindran, if I can, obviously specific to your sector, I'm sure with all these audits and everything, and the compliances, cybersecurity and related areas, obviously are, very important topics from a board perspective, right? Obviously, that means also investing a lot of money in technologies, people. Today, talent there is huge shortage, specifically in cybersecurity. So obviously, it requires a lot of investment, and obviously, you need to stay ahead of the curve. At the same time, you're dealing with an industry where there's constant challenges in terms of recoveries, et cetera, et cetera. So again, revenue pressures, all of that come in. So from your perspective, how do you really convince the board that while business is obviously primary, however, if you don't invest and then you get a cyber incident and then get attacked, you lose your data, then obviously that itself also is disruptive. So how do you really convince the board? How do you balance between security versus ROI?
I think you asked the question and you answered partially also. I appreciate. See, the scenario earlier, nothing wrong in mentioning, I'm talking about 10 years back, I think things were tough in getting the budget sanction and moving forward. But thanks to RBI and the regulations and other thing, it's not like, okay, because of RBI, I want to buy, board will not get convinced. I think you rightly asked. And we have to really see the options. Let me give an example, nothing wrong. We have one UPS, set of 6 UPSs in one floor. It's catering to all the floors actually. And audits, they're complaining. Not good, it is creating fume, everything and all. It's risky something and all. Then we represent to the senior management and board. First thing, it came out is, why you require UPS? I think you give all the people, laptops, finished. No, I'm just getting the challenges like this. Then we have done the homework. No, sir. It is not only we're changing the desktops to laptops. We have all switches in place. And we also clearly, cunningly puts our MD, your floor is full of UPS. And, projector and all, it will go off. And again, we are going for a modular UPS. And I think 60 kVA, suppose one load increases, it will go to the other thing. And fume will go down, efficiency will be high. So this all, 2 meetings, this justification exercise went on. I'm just giving a case. So it's not like that, you ask a UPS replacement, it will be sanctioned. Likewise, all equipments, nowadays we go with the proper justification. When we want to go for a PAM solution, recently we talked about, though we are good, we have all thing and all, but we also felt a PAM thing is required. Then we explain everything and all. In fact, single sign-on, we failed to convince, rather. Then the board asked, I think, how many users are using all applications? Maybe one at a time, one maybe thing or other. Why you need single sign-on? I think you can manage. So I'm telling, So, but the thing is, like, board is listening. Board is listening, they're giving good inputs. But it is our responsibility to take it to the board with the proper justification, everything and all. It is not matter of if RBI is telling no, then sometimes they may say no, so we are a small NBFC, why should we adhere to? These questions also we used to face. But we should go with a clear thing with the KPIs attached to all that thing what we make. Like, what is the benefit we get, why we need it, how we make the compliance, how it benefit the end users, how it may benefit the customers. We have to see that way also. So accordingly, I think we'll take it up. And one more thing is, we have multiple levels to reach the board. We have one IT strategy committee is there. There we present things. We'll get their views. Their directors there. Then we get their views, and then we'll take to the audit committee and then to the board. So ultimately, if you present well, I think that will go through. This is my experience.
Great. I think good example shared again. Specifically, though it's as little as UPS, buying a UPS, but at the end of the day, presenting the business case, of course, it's trying to convince, like you're convincing your customers, you have to convince your board, to give those investments, right? Now, obviously, we will, given the, metrics on what is the, board expecting, etc. Let's turn the question a little bit around, right, with you. What do you expect boards, to do with the digital age, with the AI age that we are living in, right? Obviously, technology is going to just, evolve in the next few years. Obviously, we don't expect a lot of board members to have that relevant experience, because a lot of them are senior people, they've possibly not seen that kind of technology evolution. Not to say that they are not aware, but obviously they may not understand the nuances of, the evolving technologies. So what do you expect boards, to maybe have as KPIs to ensure that you are able to sort of make them understand, how we are going to evolve in the next AI age?
Great question. In fact, as you rightly mentioned, the board members are very senior persons, and they have a lot of experience, but when it comes to technology and things like that, there is always 50-50 kind of a stuff always on the board. But somehow AI has really picked up in everybody's mind, and today the topic is, what is that you have done on the modernization of your applications? What is the new age technologies that has been implemented in a hospital like ours? These are all specific questions that comes from board members. But what really happens is, as a hospital of this magnitude, to be at par with whatever technology is there, the treatment plans that is evolving, we need to really invest on technology. We need to really invest on equipments that is so-called claimed as AI enabled. Today, we are also buying a MRI equipment from United Imaging that is running into almost 40 crores. But the power of those equipments and what is the return of investment that we are going to make out of it, you cannot justify, because we are in an industry where we are treating human life. So you cannot have a proposition of taking that equipment and saying that, okay, I'm going to make a ROI in a period of 5 years, 7 years and things like that. That comparison will not exist. But the real approach here is we are in a tier 2 city like Coimbatore, but we want to give the best class medications, best class treatment for the people in and around this particular city, so that the patient doesn't move out for a tier 1 city or anywhere abroad. That is the mindset of the management, and that is the message that we pass on to the board when there is an investment that is to be made. So as Dr. Ravindran was talking about, there is a lot of homework that you need to do even before you present a case. And there are a lot of pilots that also run inside the organizations. So you need to understand how these eventually are going to benefit, take lessons out of it, and then present to the board. So you also need to wear various hats. You need to be a marketing guy, you need to be a technological guy, you need to be a negotiator, and then go to the board and present what your use case is. So you need to know the pulse of the people even before you present.
Perfect. I think well summarized. I think, and that's what I think the roles of CIOs, CTOs has evolved, really evolved, right? I think over the past few years, they've worn more hats. They've not just enabled the business, they've become more of strategic enablers in terms of ensuring the business is moving ahead, and then at the same time ensuring they are communicating all the risks associated with the various technology transformation. So lastly, I would want to quickly again sort of put the same question across in terms of how do you see the role of CIOs, CTOs evolving? Is it going to be more of a CIO, CTO role, which is a technology strategist, or will it be more like a business enabler? Do you see that to be continuing, or maybe sort of compounding in the next few years, where you will be doing less of technology but more of sort of business enablement?
I think that's a wonderful question for all of us here. I think a few years back we were all used to be called as IT managers and IT heads. I think today we have come to information and data. We have CIOs, CDOs, CAIOs. I think that's a huge shift in the industry perspective of how we are seen. That said, obviously, when you go to the board is also like, they don't want to be left behind. They want to be tech savvy, at least show themselves are tech savvy. So they keep asking a lot of questions in terms of what is going to be. And obviously, like both of them mentioned, there's a cost pressure. Cost pressure comes in because we see ChatGPT is free and we want everything else to be free also. It doesn't happen. All this again ends at money, how we are going to make money. And IT today is actually the backbone of running the whole business. We are running strategy, we are running process, we are running operation. I think today we are looking at everything other than IT. Technology is a given. We don't even look at, I don't think most of us sitting here, I don't know how long it's been looking at hardware, looking at servers, storage and all. I think today we are looking at process, how we are improving process. All of us are talking about pain in the business. And none of us, if you even look at all the discussions, none of us actually spoke about IT or technology problems. We are all talking about pain in the business and how technology, as technologists here, sitting here, are looking at solving that pain which can happen, which has already happened, use of history and then understanding so that we don't have to do it again. I think it'll become a more of a strategy role than just a technology strategist. I think it's going to be over the years running the business. Obviously, we are not going to be COOs, at least let us not take that pressure on us. But in terms of all the support which we give, I think the backbone is going to be getting stronger and stronger over the years.
Perfect. Again, I think well summarized. Lastly, we have last 5 minutes left. I would love to sort of pick your brains on, we've talked a lot about different level of KPIs. Maybe have 1 or 2 KPIs that will define your role in the next decade. Since you come from different industries, I think it'll be interesting to get answers and perspectives there. what would be 1 or 2 KPIs which you see you will be sort of using those KPIs to steer through your role over the next decade in your organizations?
Actually, I'm not going to dwell upon again on the compliance and the data. That is fine. I think Krishna also nicely touched upon, like, our role is becoming, in our company we call it as a enabler role. It's not like keeping the lights on or other things. We have a team to do it all. Management, what we expect is, enabler role. Enable in the lens, like I can say one specific example, like customer satisfaction. See, the digital transformation area, customers are very important. So in further years, I think we are putting a CRM in place and see that how the customers are benefited, how the customers can easily reach us to get benefited. And we used to call as, reaching the unreachable. That is our thing, our management used to say. Every nook and corner of the people, you have to go and lend the money. So how I think IT and other strategies are going to support out of that. I think that will be the focus. Management focus that, and IT we should enable with proper technologies, maybe AI, whatever thing it may be. I think that should be the focus at which I think we should support to see that the businesses improve and more growth is achieved.
Wonderful. I think, again, great KPI. Happy customers will lead to, obviously growth in business, obviously helping the business in turn. I think great. Sir?
In our life cycle, we wanted the doctors to be happy. To make the doctors happy, you need to have a better systems in place and have the workflow simplified. Doctors always hate documentation. I don't know, I also hate documentation. I can do a lot of things and present and things like that, but when you ask me to document certain things, I hate to do. Nonetheless, doctors also have the same problem. So we wanted to enable those kinds of activities for the doctors, have AI-enabled conversations and things like that done. Second, customer satisfaction or customer delight. It is hard in an industry like us. I cannot say customer delight, but any customer who walks in or a patient who walks into the hospital, there is a lot of data that travels with him. So how do I enable him with whatever data that he requires? How does he have that information on hand? Those are all some of the things that technology can roll out. So these are all some of the KPIs that we have enlisted for us. And in the course of time, we want to ensure that these are being classified.
Sure. So I think, to put it shortly, maybe automated data collection through AI, and then ensuring less hassles for people who are getting into the hospital. I think that's a wonderful KPI again.
Yeah, regulation and compliance, I think I also have to talk about it. We are very easy than the people on the dais. But that said, because we are a listed company, those things obviously come into picture. And we're not talking about what comes after 5 years or 10 years. Mean time to market is something which all the boards are talking about today. We're a product company, we're a solutions company. As fast as we are in the market, as quick and accurate we are in the market, we are there. Otherwise, we are lost. So that's where we are in a race. So mean time to market is something which all of us are focusing on, and how AI and all digital transformation, everything is going to get accurate data to our customer as fast as possible.
Wonderful. Mean time to market, again, very unique KPI. I think great conversation. Thank you all. I think very insightful, a lot of learnings for me personally. I think the way the role of CIOs, CTOs is evolving, and I think the way boards are also evolving and I think we've seen the transformation. We've seen not just technology transformation. I'm sure I can understand from the convention, we've also seen boards transformation, because they've also been more accommodative, and I think that's a good sign. And I think thankfully you'll have less and less challenges exploring to the boards, and then sort of look forward to having more fruitful conversations with the board. So again, thank you all. I think wonderful conversation. Thanks again.